The GMTK Game Jam is back, and this is my favourite game jam to go absolutely crazy with weird ideas. This year I have just 48 hours, and I want to make cut the rope, but instead of cutting the ropes, you are the rope. Guiding Omnom along to the candies, we will reverse what it even means to make a game, because I have no idea if something like this is even possible. And more importantly, if it is, can we figure out how to make it in just 2 days? So we have to start with a small prototype to figure out how Omnom here isn't just going to be falling through space forever, as we somehow need to pull him towards the mouse when we click and create a rope. Immediately, I'm reminded of Heave Ho from a video game convention I went to a few months ago, where they springingly join everyone together for a similar sort of swinging that we are going for from Cut the Rope. If only Unity had a springy way to join things together. Oh well, I guess my dream game is dead. But not for long! After moving around where we want to swing and letting go, that's all it takes to get some familiar looking rope movement. Now we need to see if we can make it follow the mouse, because right now even when we move the anchor point, it still just swings around the center. We make Omnom spring, target the orange circle automatically by setting it as the connected rigid body. Thanks Unity, that works exactly as advertised. The solution was one tick box. And although it's still broken because it's way too springy, it works now. The final thing we need to do before we can call the prototype a success is add the ability to turn the rope connection on and off. Just like how we could cut ropes in Cut the Rope, we need to be able to not cut the ropes in Not Cut the Rope. I met Yannick recently when we both spent a week in a castle making a game, and he famously made devlogs about this game Spider Doll. Hopefully he doesn't mind if I'm stealing the mechanic he stole from Spider-Man of clicking to add the swinging points and letting go to let go. I had no intention of making a Spider-Man game, I think it's just kind of happening. With this we have full control over Omnom, but as you may have noticed, another problem has appeared. Turning the spring off works amazingly and as expected, but turning it back on immediately snaps Omni to the given distance from the mouse, which is definitely not the smooth behaviour that we want from this rope. Looking back at Spider Doll, we can see it's not one straight line connection, but multiple smaller connections chained together to give the rope some flexibility. I was blown away by the side-by-side-on-ness, and I've done a lot of game jams, but reversing roles is maybe my favourite game jam theme ever, so I want to take it one step further and incorporate it not only into the gameplay, but how we're going to make the game as well. Let's reverse the roles and take the worst way of making art and turn it into the best. I know you know how much I love using my mouse today. What could possibly go wrong? With the art added and this web getting crazy, it's much more easy to see that this is way too many ropes and it's really confusing. So embracing the spidery omnominess of this, let's limit the player to just having 2 ropes, one from each hand. Left clicking now controls one rope and right clicking controls the other, but remembering which is which can get very confusing, so we need an indicator for which rope it is at a glance. Now I know what you're thinking, it's slightly off topic here, how is Spider-Man related to making Cut the Rope game? You would be right, but missing a key reason for why I'm letting myself do this. A great way to make a game for a game jam is to reverse your expectations, and instead of making the game you want to make, let the game tell you what it wants to be through playtesting. So Ominomi moves right around now, but he's a bit static with this single sprite. Something that might be kind of cool to do is a bit like what? Organ Jiggle Physics, to make Omnom act just like jelly as he moves. And the fun part is that I have no idea how to do this. The problem is that Unity uses rigid bodies for all of their physics simulations, as in something super solid and hard that just goes thud on impact. It's rigid. We want the opposite of this. Something soft and squishy to deform on impact like jelly or cars. No, not that type of car. Jelly car, literally. Now this game looks absolutely brilliant, and intuitively enough, instead of hard rigid bodies, it uses soft bodies. Unfortunately for us, Unity doesn't have support for soft body physics natively, so we're gonna have to make it ourselves. Surprisingly though, we can do this with the exact same spring component we've been using for the ropes, which blew my mind. How does that work? There's a new Unity feature in the sprite editor that allows you to add bones to the sprites. Now what does this do? Because that doesn't really make any sense, but if you consider the bones inside a human, when you move the bone, it moves the skin around you. Well, if we just consider the sprite that we have currently as skin, and we can put bones inside that, then if we just connect all of these bones together with springs, it just goes squish when you drop it, and it's awesome. And then this happened, and for some reason Omnom just leaves his skin behind. He detaches it from his bones. I don't know what's going on. I'm using a default Unity component, and it just doesn't work. And the sad news for us is that I do not have time to question what's going on here. We have 4 hours until submission. I'm gonna have to move on and hope we can figure it out later. We have literally no levels at all yet. Can we do this in time? If we go back to February 28th, 2010, to the release of the original Cut the Rope, we can see in this one level from over 13 years ago what I would call the definition of a perfect first level. It introduces that cutting ropes moves the candy, physics simulation being used for the game, and that you should try and collect the stars, and that you win by feeding candy to Omnom, all in a single player interaction of cutting one rope. I want to emulate this perfection as best as I can, but upon playing what looks like a really easy level, I couldn't complete it because I realized the controls suck. It's the issue I was worried about before the future me, who's now current me, has to actually worry about. this rope snapping, where Omnom just snaps to where the rope is automatically. If I make ropes with no tension to let you swing, then it'll be impossible to gain height after leaving the starting platform, but if I give all ropes all tension, then you just snap to the position it's really difficult to control. What do I do? One solution that I came up with is to make left-clicking use snap ropes and right-clicking to use slack ropes. And this makes swinging a whole lot easier. But I've now just realized with this in place, you have unrestricted access to snap ropes, so you can just teleport to the end and do that. Yeah. Snap ropes therefore need to be restricted to only certain locations, and I'm already using this rope holder to indicate where we can place ropes, but what if we reverse its role and now use it to indicate where we can place a rope instead, giving us the lift and swing behavior we're after. However, when we have multiple snap holders, I don't want you to have to worry about perfectly clicking on each one that's such a tiny sprite, because things are going to be moving around so quickly that you're not going to have time for that, and it's going to be very annoying. So instead, when we click, I'm going to get the closest snap holder and just attach you to that, and I've just come up with the perfect level to introduce it. The snap point is behind the candy, and with a click of a button we can snap there, grab all the stars and reach the goal. And because when you left click you snap to the nearest snap position, because there's only one in this level, left clicking anywhere is going to let you complete the level and win. Just like how you can always win no matter where you cut in the original level. It's perfect. But you know what, that's fine, we still have half an hour. That's plenty of time to add a few fun, well-crafted levels, make the itch page, build the game once and have it fail because it always fails on the first try, and let itch crash because this is a GMTK Game Jam and it always crashes and DDoSes itself, and oh hey, yeah no, that's time up. I'm absolutely thrilled that a couple people are having fun with the movement mechanics. Please let me know if you want more. Everyone that's played it seems to say that they do, so let me know, and if you don't, then Ami will die of a lack of sweets.